Good morning, everyone. My name is Jack Gershfeld, and today we're going to go over a MultiTasker universal modular audio-visual system. The MultiTasker has been around for many years, and about 3 years ago we discontinued the product, and as it was an analog version of it, and now we're introducing a new MultiTasker, a fully digital version MultiTasker. So the concept is the same, but we added different capabilities to it. The MultiTasker is basically an enclosure with the different slots available for different cards and different capabilities. We currently have two types of enclosures. One is 20-slot enclosure, and the other one is a 12-slot enclosure. Each one has exactly the same functionality, it's just number of slots available for audio-visual cards for each enclosure. Let's look at the back of the 12-slot enclosure and see what's available on the back. We have 12 slots, 6 slots on the left and 6 slots on the right. We have also RS-232 control. On the front panel, you have a power on-off button. We also have an infrared window to learn IR commands. So if you need to learn IR commands from remote control, you don't need to go on the back or anything. Just point it to the front of the MultiTasker and it will learn the commands. The button on the right-hand side of the display is a status button. So as you click it, you will display different cards available in the MultiTasker, and you also will display the IP address of the MultiTasker. If you need to do IR blasting to the rack or to have a local IR blaster, you can plug it right here and on the output, and you can connect it directly to the equipment needed. And finally, you have RJ45 or Ethernet access from the front. So you have both the front and the back. So you can have the back one connected and working, and you can come to the front, connect your laptop, and go to the GUI and adjust the MultiTasker as needed. So that's a 12-slot enclosure. We also have a 20-slot enclosure, and it's a little bit larger. All the cards are vertical, but the concept is identical. You can see on the right-hand side we have RS-232 port, we have Ethernet port, and on the front is exactly identical. On-off switch, IR learning capabilities, LCD display, status button to see what the condition of each card, and an infrared IR output for a blaster, and the service port so if you can connect and adjust it through GUI interface. What is the main power of the MultiTasker? The main power of the MultiTasker is that it has a common power to all the cards. That means you don't need to have a separate small boxes sitting around and trying to figure out how you're going to mount them in the rack, or 20 different small power supplies that you need to the power distribution port. So it's very easy. A single power cord powers MultiTasker. You have over 600 watts of power inside. That means you have plenty of power for every card, plus more. It has a fully adjustable fan speed control. It starts from very low speed, almost quiet so you can't hear it. And then if the power increases, it will increase the speed. A lot of times the fans are only operating at 30% of the capacity, as you're not going to fill out the whole MultiTasker. Then you have a common control. That means you don't need to run multiple control cables with different protocols to different pieces of equipment. Everything under one control. Just connect to the network or connect RS-232, and you're done. Finally, common enclosure. Everything is nicely packed into 19 or 20. On a 20 slot or 12 slot enclosure. It's a rack mounted to the front. You can rack mount it to the back, so you can have access to all the cards. How do we control MultiTasker? There's many different ways to control MultiTasker. RS-232 port, definitely, that brings you back to whatever equipment you have or legacy equipment. Anybody can connect to RS-232 port and control it. We have a list of APIs, which is the command set. So there's a common command set for a MultiTasker enclosure, and then each individual card will have subset of the additional commands. But the nice thing is that the structure is identical, everything identical in all of the commands in terms of the starting brackets, close brackets, command instructions. So once you learn one card, pretty much you'll be able to do every other card from there on. You have a TCP control. In the TCP control, you connect to the TCP port, and then you can send TCP commands, so it's a full secure connection. UDP control, if you want to broadcast commands to, if you have multiple multitaskers, you can broadcast command to all the multitaskers at the same time. A web interface, if you need to do adjustments to cards, settings changes, you can just plug to the web interface and you'll be up and running in a minute. And front panel status and basic control you have with a single button where you can see what each card is doing and also what cards are located inside the multitasker. So you need to go on the back and look at the back. Another way to control it is the application software called AV Snap. The AV Snap application software is available free of charge, so you can download it on avsnap.com. And that has a full capability to control pretty much anything you want to control. You can design graphical user interface. You can automatically run it on any small PC, and basically it will perform out of the box. Now, you'll need to design graphical user interface, and here's an example how one customer designed it. This is the a simple audio control for the courtroom environment. As you can see, you can adjust the volumes of the microphones, you can mute them, and so that particular page is for the volume control of all the microphones in the courtroom. But there's also video controls, conference, phone conferencing, sidebar, and system off. So possibilities with the AV Snap is pretty incredible. You can do anything you want. You can also go on the website avsnap.com, and you can go into download sections and download this firmware software right in here. Click download version 5.3.2. One of the cards is 8x4 HDMI card, which is full HDCP compliant. It has a CEC control for the output to the monitor. So we can send command monitor on, monitor off, and we can also program it for volume up, volume down as needed. And this takes 2 slots in the multitasker. We also have a 16x16 matrix switcher, which is audio matrix switcher, and it has a balanced and unbalanced inputs for all of the 16 inputs and 16 outputs. A level control for all the inputs, so you can equalize all the audios to have the same volume. It has a clickless switching, so as you switch between inputs and outputs, everything nice and quiet. It can be a slave to the video switcher, so that as you switch input 1 to output 1, it will mimic input 1 to output 1 with the audio card. And this takes 4 slots in the multitasker. The next card is the control card. And the control card allows you to control other equipment. And this card has 2 IR outputs. So if you want to program infrared blaster, you can program into the card and then connect to the 2 blasters. And you can put multiple cards. So if you just want control, you can put up to 20 control cards if you want to. You can do IR learning through the multitasker, and that's from the front panel that will learn IR and put it right into this card. You have 2 RS-232 ports if you need to go to control the other equipment. 2 relays, 12 volts, 1 amp, 12 and 24 volts power output if you need to power some external equipment, and 2 sensor inputs. Sensor inputs a lot of times are used when you use, for example, a monitor that needs to be controlled with IR and you need to know if power is on or off. You can actually put power sensor and feed it back to the input and determine if the monitor is turned on and off or off. The other card we have is called Anywire Transmitter. Anywire Transmitter allows you to transmit any wire signal over any type of cables. So if you need to drive a cable over 900 feet and you have only coaxial cable on the wall, then you can just use this to transmit the signal over it. It's a HDMI over 2 conductor cable transmitter. It automatically detects input on the receiver so that once you plug it in, both transmitter and receiver will synchronize and start producing the signal. You can transmit up to 300 meters or about 900 feet. It has also IR pass-through control going from the receiver to the transmitter. So if you need to have a local control of the cable box, but the IR receiver is next to the monitor, you can still do that. a local monitor output if you need to monitor the signal locally, and the resolutions currently supported are 720p, 1080i, and 1080p for this card. It's what we call a streaming card, and it's designed to stream video to remote monitors. We also have a receiver card, which is NUI receiver card, with the same capabilities, but if you have a remote signal that you need to receive at the multitasker, then the receiver card will take care of it. There's only two-wire connection, and there's a HDMI output, and that can be fed into matrix switcher as needed. The same capabilities with IR pass-through, HDMI resolutions, and transmission up to 900 feet. So these cards are currently available, and we have new cards coming out, and we have more cards on the way. So you pretty much will be able to design any system you want. So let's start with some of the new cards that we have. One of the cards is called HDMI Extender, and it allows you to transmit HDMI signal over fiber for about 300 meters. And this card is up to 4K resolution, and you have HDMI input right here, and you have fiber output, and then LED status. So if you need to go longer, we have different modules available. We can go up to 10 kilometers or about 6 to 7 miles. So a lot of times this type of device is used when you need to have a galvanic isolation between the transmitter and the receiver, so the fiber optics is used as a galvanic isolator. And if you need to go long distances, it's full CEC compliant, HDCP compliant, and HDMI compliant. We also have a power distribution card, and we have two cards for power distribution. One is designed primarily for European market because it has universal AC powers, and one is designed for US market. It has local AC power type sockets. So you can see that we have one input and three outputs. So you can distribute it to three different, those plugs to three different locations, up to 10 amp loading. We can measure the current. We can also measure the overcurrent. We can shut down outputs. You can sequence input, outputs. So if you don't want to plug everything in at the same time, you can just sequence them one at a time. And it's fully programmable so that the whole system, when it powers up, you can power it up in a sequence that minimizes any stress on the components. You can also read the current for each of the outputs so you know what the loading is. And the same applies to the power distribution card for European market, except it has a different IC connector so that it's universal, so you can use it in different countries and just put a different connector in here. The next cards that we have are designed for basically extending HDMI using different media. So we have HDMI to IP stream. So what it takes HDMI signal and it puts it into the network environment. So you can convert HDMI to IP stream, and then we have a standalone unit that receives the IP stream and displays it on the monitor or projector. This product is an advanced product, and this is our push for audio and video over the network. And this is the first entry that we have. And of course, we have the standalone entries, which is the standalone transmitter and standalone receiver. The next card is HDMI extender using HD-based type transmitters, and you can see this is a dual card. It has HDMI input and HD-based output, and also IR input and IR input, yeah. And then you have two LEDs that tell you the status. So you can have two of them in one card. And that one, of course, is fully HDCP compliant and HDMI compliant and uses standard Cat6 cable to transmit the signal over HD-based. And the next card is the HD-based receiver, and that's also a dual card. So you basically put HD-based in, and HDMI comes out here, and then HDMI will go to your matrix switcher. So these are complementary pairs, and we also have a standalone transmitter receiver for each of these products so that you can build a full system. So in general, this is the overview of the multitasker. And you can give us a call. We can design a system for you. So just tell us what the capabilities of your system you want, how many inputs, how many outputs, what's in between, and we can select the right cards and send the system back to you for your review. And that's an overview. If you have any questions, please give us a call at our main phone number, 714-990-2300, and we're always available here to take care of you. And thank you for this morning, and we'll see you next time.